What we got? We coming through you live and bright. Go see what we doing tonight. I don't know if anybody gonna be on tonight. We're gonna see. I'll give it a little time. I just got on, so I'll see if anybody want to chat it up. Let's see what we got. See what we gonna do. What's happening? What's happening? How you doing? What's happening? What's happening? What's the word? What's the word? So I did some videos today. So give me your thoughts and your takes, because I did my videos today. I did it I like Monty. The only problem with Monty Williams is, yeah, that was a trip. I saw that. Did you see the video? Did you see the video? It was wild because what's that one white boy? The comedian went in on her hard. That was hilarious. He did like 20 seconds. Oh yeah, you gotta look it up. See, look up the Kim K, Tom Brody, the roast. His name is Tom Mack. Let me see if I can find his name. Hold up. Let me see if I can find that white boy. Cause I don't think it was Jeff Ross. Let me see. Let me see. Uh, Let me see if I can find it. I'll let you know. Mm, hold on, let me look. Let's see. That's a shame in a way. I thought about it, but then in a way I thought it was kind of a bit much because you can't really cancel somebody based on their personal choices with their family. Um, it got me thinking that if we're gonna do that, why don't we hold people accountable? His name is Tony Hinchcliffe. That's who it is.
What does print mean to
Tony Hinchcliffe.
Here we go. And I pulled out, oh wow, look, it's Dana White. Everybody make some notes for the great Dana White. 60 seconds uninterrupted for Dana White, the president of the UFC. That was a good one. Hey, I got two of the baddest dudes in the world.
Tony Hinchcliffe. That's his name. Oh yeah. So that's what happened. Tony, that's his name. You should check out that video. That was a trip. He clapped on her hard, cracked me up. See if I can find it. Hold up. That was his name. Yeah. Oh, for now, which is kind of dumb because they're holding him to an uncanceled situation. Don't move. I'm trying to find this thing. There you go. That's what's up. All right, I'm back now. I got it. Yeah, you don't really get canceled. That's one of the most craziest things. I gotta write this thing down. That's what's up. Yeah. That's a shame about Brian. Though. I'm reading that stuff and I'm thinking, you know, come on now. It's sad. It's some sad commentary. It's some sad commentary. But yeah, that's not the dude's name. That's his name.
Everyone always asks me how big Gronk's dick is. Now, don't get me wrong, it gets the job done. But there was this other Patriots tight end. Now, he was hung.
I didn't see Bill.
Think about it. Think about it. Everyone always asks.
I didn't see it. I didn't. I just got it because of the Kardashian thing. I didn't care about watching it. If before you even asked me, I don't care to see no Tom Brady roast. I know. It's pretty juvenile. The funny thing about it is that it gives them some character when they didn't show a lot of character at the time. So now they get to act like they're 10-year-old, 12-year-old, 18-year-old fantasies now. And but that was crazy though. Yeah, it should be. Should be. Where was he gonna go? Oh, I know what you were thinking. I know what you're thinking. Now they wanted him and they wanted Tyronn Lue. They want them light skinned brothers. Both of them. I know it was up. Monty is a third option. He might be a fourth option. I like Monty. But Monty's only going to be effective if you got a point guard. And again, that's the problem that y'all going to run into. Y'all got to have a point guard. Yeah. If you want to win. He has to be tough on guards because if you want to be successful, you got to have someone as a floor general. You still talking about that, huh? Did I really shake it up when I said that? Did I really shake it up that much? You know, when Mahomes won his first Super Bowl, I said he was one of the 10 greatest quarterbacks, and I had some looks with that, probably in another light. I don't need some people, as I said before, there's certain people, they give me certain energy. I don't need a body of work. I can tell by a few years what I can see the trajectory. Oh, look, if he wins a chip, we're not talking about Kevin Garnett. We're talking about how close he is to top 30 because he will surpass Garnett and he will start. And he's already being mentioned as the face of the league, and he got Jordan giving him love. I mean, that kind of fits my narrative. I mean, they could. And the thing that he's got going for him, which no one can argue, is because he will have done it with the Twin Towers, which no one saw could happen. No one was buying Cat and Gobert. They were seen like Yogi Bear and Boo Boo. They were seen as Frosties and Softies. Okay. So if he got them two dudes on lookout on block for him, what's that to you? Yeah, at the time we all did. But now, what do you think now? Because as a matter of fact, Utah sucks. And they're stuck with second and third tier cats, and they're not that good. I like the one dude that they got. The left-handed boy, he can shoot, but an old boy from used to be with the lake. They got, but they're not. They got what I call second, third tier. He out there in Saudi Arabia now. That's what that translation means. He's in Saudi Arabia. They stuck. They suck right now. So they suck right now. And yeah, his days, what he got down is over. Well, he has to give up a lot of room to move with him. You gotta remember when you're dealing with thank you, when you're dealing with someone like Ant, he make you move. The problem that they run into, the reason why you get someone like Monty Williams and you get guard plays because that's the only way that you'll be able to compete. Now you can hang with Denver with AD and LeBron to an extent, but if you don't get a third legit wheel, you're not a threat. And you can't be having sloppy second, third parts. That's why y'all got caught being cheap. That's why your coach shouldn't have been fired. If you want me to be real, which I do in this live stream, that's where y'all shortchange from the general manager position. You gotta have forces and horses. Forces and horses. Can't beat them with just two bigs. I don't care what LeBron does. He can't cover up the guard spot. He can't cover that area. That's why Jamal Murray was able to get around and wiggle. The situation in Minnesota is that they can collapse on Jokic. They're not really going to stop him from being a triple double fact, but what you end up doing is making more of a scorer. If you actually want Jokic to be mid high 30s to 40. He's more dangerous. Remember what I always tell you about LeBron? Or I tell you about Luka? If LeBron was really effective with the Lakers now, he'd be about 22, 9, and 8. Not 26, not 27. He's got to figure out a way to give up 4 or 5 less points. That's what Jokic is more effective in, that 25 to 27, maybe 28. That's it. That's the cutoff. Then the triple double. When he does 30 plus and up, he's doing more work. That's the psychological thing that you have to do. So you have to force the issue. And let's be realistic. Cat's gonna stay on that top of the key. That's his spot. 20 points. Gobert gives you close to 10 and gives you 10 rebounds and steals and blocks. Okay, let me address this one thing. Thank you about the Justin Fields thing. He got a better all-around game as far as what he can do. His outside shot is way better. That's no argument there. He's a defensive liability, so can't say that. So which side are you talking? If you're talking about totality, I give 2 raw props. That video where he said that he stifled Brunson's stunt is true. So I can't say he's better because he can score for LeBron and he can stat pad with LeBron, but his defense isn't better. And he hasn't really, he's gotten to a Western Conference Finals, but he really hasn't put his stamp. It's not a stamp win yet, series yet. Skills wise, you can make a strong case. It's close. It's close. But if I had to pick at 25 who was better, I'd say I have to give Braun by a slight because he went to the finals. That counts for something. And he did get his teammates involved. And he didn't lose anybody like Brunson. That's the one knock against Luka. How did you not see a golden egg in the nest? You're supposed to be an all-around force. Now, I understand what Spencer Dinwiddie and I understand what Hardaway Jr., but you didn't see Brunson. Brunson looked pretty good for him. So that's a flaw on his part if you're playing totality game. So Braun gets that because nobody emerged from Cleveland that went elsewhere that you sit there and you scratch your head and say, you know why he's doing better? You know why? Because he's third, fourth option and he's got no pressure. That's why. When he got drafted by the Knicks, they were looking for Baby Dirk. He wasn't that dude. He went to Dallas. He got upset because him and Luka butted heads, but he was second option. He didn't need to be. It didn't work. Think about his stops. Think about where he been. He's a strong, solid third. He's effective. He can look like a first. He can play like a strong second, and he's definitely a legit third. So guys like that are basically positionless role players. But in this scheme of things, he doesn't have any pressure. He wasn't cut to be a top dog. But you let him play his third slot, and he can look like a second, and he has some nights he'll look like a first. That's your role players today. You always ask me, there you go. It's like Sock'em, Pascal, like Pascal. Pascal and him are like this, almost the same person, except KB's got a better outside game, but similar in that they can give you them numbers, but they're not first tier dudes. They look like it in some spots, and especially when the main guys are cooking, they look like they're a strong second option, but they're mainly third options. You got to know how to. That's every time you ask me about role players today, they're more in a slot. Like I'll tell you, Lamar Odom was one of those guys that hit me to that because he wasn't cut to be a second guy with Kobe, and he sure wasn't the first guy. But if you had Paul Gasol or Meta or somebody, and then he could slide in that slot, he could just dangle into multitude because there was no pressure. Whereas back in the day, role players were asked to be knockdown shooters. Yep. As long as you want to be, long as you don't put the heat on him to be top dog. He can't be a player coach because he doesn't wield enough of respect as it is. To be a player coach, he'd have to give up some authority, and he won't do that. He's too old. It's cute, but it's too old. But I'm gonna stick back to LeBron. You want to be a player coach. You have to be willing to defer, and it's things that you'd have to do. And see, first of all, if you're gonna set it up, you have to have Anthony Davis and you have to have a point guard. That's not gonna work. Bill Russell was able to do it because he utilized all 5 components. You gotta be careful when these people give us LeBron number 2 greatest or number 1 go because he misses the fundamental rule. You have to put people in places and make them effective. He thinks by letting everyone go and getting everybody going, he gets going. What he ends up doing is he hurts the cause because when he gets on his stat pad run in the fourth quarter or his last win, the team's spent. He's a defensive liability and he doesn't keep them fed. So he has to have a legit score. Let's say you have to have a top tier point guard, but you got to have a guy who knows how to handle and put people in position. He gobbles too much, and that's the problem he runs into. That's why his game is more short sighted. And upon further review, once we get past the numbers and the stat pad and all the stuff he's done, he minimizes himself. That's why when I said that Jokic was a better version of him, Jokic covers all that. He actually gets guys going. Because there are games when um it was been embarrassing when Drew Gooden beat y'all that one game. You really think that Rue's gonna beat you one game with LeBron James on the watch? Do you really think Rue's gonna have a 30-point game and LeBron's got 22? That's the difference. You gotta utilize those weapons. I'm not gonna even mention JJ Watt because it's the first of all, I don't think they're I think they got a good team. I don't know if they're that level. So let's slow down, you know. She ain't gonna do nothing else. The problem that y'all run into is that y'all still stargazing. So y'all want to be centralized, romanticized, but y'all don't know how to put it together. And it's simple. You have to pretty much let everybody go except for Anthony Davis. That's how you put it together. And it don't sound good, but that's what it would take. Because you've got sums of parts, you don't have the whole parts. When Monty Williams had CP3, he had a point guard he fed off of, and then they built parts. That takes 2-3 years. LeBron ain't got no 2 or 3 years in the tank. Well, he better do a better job of it. He has to command the ball. He has to command his coach. He has to command that he gets the rock. You tell me he want to win? Show me you want to win. You're old enough to remember when Shaq was in his peak, in his prime. And aside from Kobe, who was getting the rock? He was. That's what AD has to be like. He has to be bullish. And he gets cold, you lose. See, what worked 4 years ago in the finals against Miami and LeBron came along and matched him in points and all that, that was cute. That guy 4 years later against Denver gets held back. He goes cold. You don't come back from stuff like that. Ah! Yeah. He don't yell at LeBron like that, though. He don't yell at him. That's who he need to be screaming at. So I'm just going by what I see. And that's pretty embarrassing. He loves him. Well, he's like, looks at him like big brother. He looks at him like, because he wouldn't be there. No, he wouldn't. He already said no. And that's who they want, the elephant in the room. Oh, you know good and well that if they had Phil, he'd put LeBron and he'd put AD where he's supposed to be in a triangle. And he'd have somebody who was a tweener. Michael Conley would have played with Phil. You don't want them hard facts. You don't want me to go in that. Michael Conley would have been a Phil Jackson recruit. He would have been like a Derek Fisher with more mobility on the offensive side. 15, 17 points, space those guys properly. Reeves comes off the bench. Then you have D'Lo off the bench. If you don't think you have both of them, gotta have Alex Caruso. Would have been more of a field dude. DeRozan too soft. He's not a field dude. He too streaky. You gotta have a disciplined guy that's not a stat pattern. He doesn't need. He get a Joe No Name guard. A Caruso would have been more of a fit than DeRozan. I'm telling you, for Phil, yeah. Unless you get a Michael Conley type. You get Mike Conley, you don't need both Reeves and D'Lo. Alex Caruso. Then you subsequently get pieces. You get one of them big boys in Orlando. You get some pieces that complement. Not no Jarvis Hayes, not no Jackson Hayes mess, and not no Gabe Vincent. You got to get pieces that complement. Why would you? You can't have a 40-year-old dude running roughshod and the team is suffering and guys are not getting their looks. I'm going to be real with you because I didn't want to tell you cats last week. Yeah, I thought y'all had a chance to beat Denver. Even though I picked Denver to win and all that, you should have beaten them. And we can say that a week later. We should have beaten them in 5, maybe 4. You all played them 75% of the series. But I knew that a certain person would put their handprint and get in the way. It wasn't about Darren Ham. He had a good game plan. It's just that when D'Lo dropped that Easter egg, Reeves stat padded, didn't really play that good. Reeves didn't wake up to about game. What did he wake up? 3, 4, 5? It was too late. Didn't hardly get nothing off your bench. AD got stifled, and LeBron stat padded. And so they quit on him. They quit on Darvin Ham. If LeBron took responsibility and he did, they would have looked at game 2. He's only effective if you have a legit guard. Off the bench, he could be dangerous. But he don't play no defense. And if he don't hit his shots, he's inconsistent. See, it was a happy-go-lucky white boy story. That's what it was. And he all right. He all right. It's a cute story. No Diddy. It's not much deep there. Just saying. I call him like I see him. Because you got to remember, he only got the job last year because was it Patrick Beverly Westbrook left. That's the only reason why they hung him around and they worked him. But he ain't the kind of dude that they're going to, no. No. So that's the problem that y'all run into. And yeah, you should have won that series. Should have won that series. Got no one to blame but yourself. They helped you. They tried to in the last game, but the problem is that because y'all don't have a guard. Y'all don't have like common sense to balance stuff out. You had winnable games. Who's gonna be your finisher? You had winnable games. Who's gonna make that play? No. No. Stop. And maybe in the NBA. I take that back. In the NBA, he might be. In my Vigan, not even close. Good player, not great. Not great. Not no. I like him a lot, but no. No. A total fan that in sports wins and losses matter again to Hall of Fame, not just that. Yeah, so let's debate what sports we're talking about. And it depends on what we're talking about. Let's break down the 3 major ones because I only talk about baseball, football, and basketball. So let's do them one by one, shall we? Let's do it. Baseball, if you're a pitcher, You have to have a certain amount of wins. You have to have a certain amount of dominance. You have to have certain Cy Young Awards, MVP. That carries weight. Basketball is tricky. They didn't move the rim. And it used to be the greats. People knew who was great. See, when you ask me about Mike Conley, I'm looking at you sideways because there's nothing about him that's Hall of Fame. If we're talking in the good Hall of Fame, yes. We're talking about in the great ones, absolutely 100% not. One of my homeboys had a discussion with me and he asked me about Rondo, who I liked a lot. And Rondo would be a lot more closer to Hall of Fame than Conley because she won 2 chips. He was a legit point guard. And at one time he was one of the 3 best point guards in the world. But even he, I don't think gets in. But he's more of a Hall of Famer than Conley is. It depends on what your standards are. It depends on what your standards are. I see O.J. Will is back. Depends on what your standards are. Depends on what you're debating. I can't just because I like a player don't mean he's Hall of Fame. I can like players. I don't, you know, like right now, I like Bam in Miami. He ain't no Hall of Famer. Yeah. And he's got 2 rings and he was effective for that Celtic team, especially. He was legit. I like Conley scoring more points. There's very few guys I'm gonna tell you that's gonna be Hall of Fame though. Let's see. Let me see. Rondo's the first ballot Hall of Famer. I don't know about first ballot. I don't know about that. You think Sean Kemp? Do I think Sean Kemp? Because Sean Kemp didn't have, except for that finals impact, what was his career? And you got to go back to 96, that one finals and the slam dunk. What was his career? I like Sean Kemp. I saw him. I was near the Seattle area and he was great in that finals, but where was his high? Rondo would have a better chance than Sean Kemp. He was part of 2 championship teams and he was considered one of the best at his position. Was Kemp ever better than Barkley and Karl Malone? He was the 3rd best player on that floor in that 96 finals behind Jordan and Dennis Rodman. I'll give you that. See what I mean? Clump Kemp ain't getting in. Clump Kemp ain't getting in. Clump Kemp was not that memorable in Portland. And it just ain't the same. Rain Man. See, and this is a good argument right here. Kemp is is like the godfather to Blake Griffin. That's gonna be a borderline if you decide to put him in. That's one of the situations that you're into because you're seeing one dimension. Yep, but they were 2 years too. They were too little, too late though. He was a more impactful player. No one talks about Kemp in the big picture. He did. That's not how they're gonna judge it, Jay Will. They're gonna look at what he did come big stage. Kemp had one trip, and Rondo was considered one of the three best point guards at a particular time when point guards was happening. Okay. Kemp was a big time player at a particular time, but he never supplanted, he never got the same conversation as some others. T Mac is still considered top. Could get more love than some. I think they'll have to be about a good 20 years removed from him. I do. I think there'll have to be some time removed from him because I can't respect him too much now for the simple fact he didn't switch too many teams and he's taken a beating in the past few. He's one of those guys you'll have to go back in hindsight in 10, 15, 20 years to respect. I'll give you that. Let's see. Let me go over this real quickly. T Mac had a great career, but he can be a borderline for some people. No, that's wrong. I give you about Derrick Rose, but no, they're not the same. Rose played with reckless abandonment, but he didn't really play offset or anybody. He didn't bring nobody up. You gotta remember something. Russell was there with Kevin Durant. D Rose didn't want that same energy of a player. He never had a caliber player to score like that. So he kind of did his own self in. I disagree. They never had a score. Tosh Gibson, um, uh, 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 um, um, what's his butt that was a LeBron and went to Utah. There weren't no scores. Joakim Noah wasn't no score. Now I did this a long time ago when I had said this. If they could have gotten Carmelo Anthony to cherry pick, they probably would have been a threat to LeBron, not only with Cleveland, but with Miami. Not Jimmy Butler. The bald head cat, the one that rented out the house to Prince. He used to play with Utah. He's with Deron Williams. That's because the only thing I know him for now is that he rented that house to Prince for 3121. I can't, yeah, old drunk Carlos Boozer. That's it. They had no, oh yeah, and what's his butt? From England, he went to Lakers and got that fat contract, and he held him up with the money, and he was good. Not Taj, African brother. What's his name? Oh God, why am I not thinking of him right now? Yeah, Lou Aldane. They never had that dude with D Rose that could create points. They missed a cherry picker. You remember Joakim knowing them with saying, we want Carmelo. And they went to D Rose. And they didn't get that dude that could create points. So D Rose, when he got that stupid injury because old Tibbs didn't pull him out, and that last second against Philly messed him up. He kind of had the same situation as RG3 did. Boneheaded, greedy coaches wasting some guys' prime. But D Rose was nice with it. But he didn't have a 3-point shot himself, and they didn't have enough firepower. you know. Oh, here we go again. Ain't about not only 23. Some cats get it, some don't. D Rose was nice with it, but he didn't have a structure as far as putting in. He didn't develop a better till he hit that brick 3-pointer against Cleveland in that playoff game in 2015. The heck you talking about? He hit that bowling ball three, and that's it. He got so in love with it, he kept trying to shoot the bank shot three. No one was buying him as an outside shooter. He could have gone and taunted the management. Yeah, and no one cares. It took him, 35 years later? Nobody cares. He didn't get what he needed to get. With Cat, maybe. Maybe. Depends on how successful they are. Depends on how successful. I think he needs two. Now that I agree with you with. Because that dude was sick with it at first. He had some handles. He could move. He could worm. It was crazy. He had handles. He could move. He was very acrobatic with his body. Yeah. But the bottom line is he never got that player that could score those points. They missed out. And that's a fact. I'm pulling for the Knicks if I got to pick because Brunson is something else. However, we got to go to the X factors. For the Knicks to win, they got to do the same thing they did against what they did to Philly, got to do to Indiana. They got to contain Tyler. They got to make Indiana not play no defense. They got to make them become they gotta make sure that Indiana doesn't go 5, 6 deep with scoring. That's the only way the Pacers can win. And the Pacers could win if they can spread it where everybody gets a touch. Because Pascal can be dangerous in that series. The only reason why New York got by Philly is because Embiid and Maxey didn't get no help. I told you Keller, Ober, and Tobias could get 10 each. You know. But I'm gonna tell you something. If the Pacers can get 6, 7 hands deep in scoring, because they don't play no defense. So if they get New York into a scoring game, yeah, Dante's nice. Dante is nice. If they can get some scoring contributions, then why did you shake your head about that? I didn't watch none of the X interviews, but what was it? Then that can be a series. Because New York can be had. I'm still amazed how Philly lost that series. But Tobias Harris scoring zero, ace to egg hunting, and Kyle Lowry. If you got 3 guys and y'all don't combine to score but 9 points, and you lose by 4 points, those were winnable series. Okay, yeah, because they don't have a third option. They don't have a fourth option. That's why they lost that series. That's why they lost, and they got no one to blame but themselves. Because Buddy Hield, he do talk nonsense. He ought to be ashamed of himself. I'm not saying you're a championship team, but you should have beat the Knicks. You had a winnable series. And you can't get buckets out of 2 or 3 of your guys. That's the difference in the series right there. If everybody averages 9 points a game, you win that series 4-1, 4-2. Because to be honest with you, they had what it takes to beat New York. Yeah, well, he must have been listening to me because I said he'd be ready for the summer. He took that personal. He should. He shouldn't even come back the next year. At the time, Ben Simmons looked like a good fit. You got to look at it from the hindsight. Ben was nice for what he could do before he's mentally broke down. You just don't know how it's going to turn out. Size, athleticism. He was like a LeBron James, but without a scoring repertoire. But he could give you rebounds. He could give you assists. He could give you steals. He gave you blocks. He did have that 40-point game. So, yeah, I remember Michael Carter Williams, and it was nice for a minute. Okafor was nice. I remember Noel, but a lot of the pieces just didn't compliment. He could be, but you might have to build around Maxey, though. My team's the Miami Heat. Everybody know the Miami Heat's my team. And I'll be the first to tell you what's wrong with the Heat. I have no secrets. I had no delusions. You never heard me say the Heat in 7. I had no delusions. No delusions at all. Yeah, I remember. Had a cool name though. But yeah, he didn't work out. I think Philly just basically, thank you. He is tripping. I think that the Philly just is going about things in ways that they really aren't, they're complacent. And really right now, you just get you somebody who can score to complement and beat him max, you'd be straight. That's all you really need. He was good in school. He was good in sports. It's just that it needed some time, and that's all. He got hurt. But I don't know if he's going to be great though. Again, I have to put my Philly cap on and look at y'all really objectively. And I think that y'all done gone after a lot of guards and some bigs, but I just think that y'all just been kind of. But I can't take y'all seriously. I'm sorry, Philly's like a joke. Daryl Motley made y'all into a clown fest. I mean, bad enough for Doc Rivers. The Ben Simmons thing went haywire, went off the rails. Uh, 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 um, Fultz thing went off the rails. Joel Embiid's trust the process mess went off the rails. And like Jimmy Butler says, you taking Tobias over me? Yeah, thank you. So it's hard to take y'all seriously. Y'all almost playing like y'all getting bottled by the mob or something. Like y'all just do brain headed schemes. I remember, and he didn't fit with y'all, but he fit good in Boston. Tell me how that worked. I don't know. He fits good in Boston. He might fool around and play. He gonna play longer than LeBron. He might be 73 at the way he's going because he fit good in Boston. He could shoot for the 15, 20 years, but he didn't work with y'all. It's just y'all style. Now, this is the old school in me. I remember when the Sixers used to put a starting lineups together, and then it just went off to the rails. Well, y'all suck anyway. Y'all first round knockout this year. And the problem is they don't believe in Dak. Running game is suspect. And yeah, I told you he gonna play these 73. Shoot, Horford, because he got something. Um, yeah, I don't want to talk about the Cowboys too much because like you got that meathead for y'all coach. That used to be Ted's coach, and I already talked about meathead enough. Y'all ain't winning nothing with meathead. As long as y'all got meathead slurping up the Jerry Jones, y'all ain't doing nothing. Y'all ain't doing nothing. Y'all not doing nothing. Y'all be beating up on them second, third tier, especially them third tier teams. Y'all be beating up on them. What happened when y'all play against a real team? See, y'all just be stockpiling them. Can't take y'all seriously. Yeah, because they were inside out guys. That's why. Horford can be really a problem because of his size and how he uses his body on you. And Marcus Gasol takes you out and he hits you with them picks and pops. He real physical banger. Oh yeah, that was embarrassing. That y'all got him for a long season. Yeah, I mean, y'all had Jordan Love looking like Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers at once. I mean, he was just toying with y'all. He sat back there was eating a sandwich. That just was embarrassing. So for Michael Parsons and all this crazy talk. That's why I don't like talking about football now because it's just too embarrassing. And Cowboy fans, y'all should just let that. Y'all shouldn't even bring up football for about 3 months, really, because that was embarrassing. That's the last. And then I know y'all put that old stat padding 32 points up. Got your butt back. That's because no one else. No, because y'all can't get the right back. Tony Pollard was not your good back. He was, it was smooth, but you need a bruiser. We do stupid stuff all the time. That's why I don't like talking about football now. We do stupid stuff. They think they're going to scheme and get somebody that no one sees, but I don't see it coming. He probably will. And when people gave me a hard, I did that video about that too. I know why Atlanta did it. I don't know why people didn't get the Michael Vick correlation, and I think that's going to be a good fit for him in Atlanta. He's mobile, he can move, he's agile. I think he's going to be a good fit. I agree. I agree. Jimmy Butler talk too much. He can't stay healthy. He doesn't really. He's got this delusion that he is gonna just turn it on in the postseason. He he also um isn't that kind of a talent that can afford to really yap when he isn't um available. I agree with him. I'm going to do a video about that. Thank you. I'm gonna do it too. Thank you. I'm glad he said it because I've been wanting to have him to shut up talking about if I'm playing New York's home, definitely in Boston, all this stuff. You didn't play. And the Celtics tore your behind up. And all this playing tournament, we gonna get hot and happening. Who is you to keep playing like that? And you play off Jimmy, but you don't bring it like that in the regular season. You just because you got that bummy kind of. I'm not saying he's a bum, but he has that kind of. I feel if I feel like it, I'll be great, and if I feel like it, I'll be good. No, we need you to play and be good all the time. You can't feel like it. You ain't that kind of player. Now, y'all want me to talk about my Miami Heat fan, how I really look at Jimmy Butler. I'll tell you, he's not a great player. He's a really good player. He can be very good. He can almost flirt with being great. He ain't, unless you get Rachel Nichols up in that room. Then he looked like a superstar. In 2020, he was playing like D Wade's second coming. But he don't play like that all the time. He came against Milwaukee last year. He don't play like that all the time, you know. Well, because he did play out of his mind. Shoot, I haven't seen that guy since. Am I lying? That guy's been on a milk carton since that kind of. He balled against Milwaukee last year. I'll give you that. But I mean the way he played in that finals, because he's not a 30-point a night man. He played out his mind. He played out his mind. Well, I'm more, when I'm hard on guys like that, Jimmy doesn't, and don't think with Hero, he played pretty good, but he didn't have the Boston got physical with him. He doesn't have another gear to score 20 plus every night. You got to do more assists, rebounds. You got to get some steals. You got to do a lot. And the problem that he ran into is that White came off the bench, was making shots. Boston was throwing 3 and 4 guys. You got to have the firepower, and you don't have the talent. And that's it. Bam did his job, but Tyler Hero is not enough of a difference maker. And that's the difference. And it's about controlling tempo and doing the things. They were lighting the cakes against them. The Celtics smacked them in the mouth, actually beat them at their own game. And then when we coming down to talent, and they held Miami to under 100 points, kept them barely at 90. You're not winning. So that's the problem. Too small and too light in the cakes. I don't like to roast my guys because the truth is I pull for them to win, but I have to call it. I gotta call it like I call it. That's all. I have to be honest. If you ask me to be objective, even with the teams I root for, I gotta be objective. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you no lies. What king are you talking about? Because I don't, what king are we talking about? Do tell who you're talking about, because I don't call nobody king except the Lord. So you better tell me who you're talking about. Oh, that turkey? Now he rehabbing. I don't know nothing because I don't call him that. I just call him LeBron. I don't call him no king. I don't call no man on. I might say that someone is like of their dominance or something. I just no basketball person I call a king. If you must know. If you've been on my live streams, I don't say that. And also, if he's smart, he don't say nothing. Because this whole mess with Darren Ham is a bad look for him. And for Anthony Davis, too. It's a bad look. That was a winnable series. That's a bad look. I know what they call him. I don't call him that. Yeah, he's known as the Frozen One, too. Did you remember that nickname in 2011? The Frozen One. Yeah, give him all the nicknames. Some call him some Lesteroids, Lestat Patter. Yeah. And how long ago was that, though? What was the last time he was? You got to go back like a decade ago. And Steph Curry had that lightning. Durant had that lightning. The last time he been that dude. He ain't been that dude since we've been in these 20s. Not like that. What y'all talking about? Well, I ain't talking about Skip. Are you talking about Skip Bayless or are you talking about Stephen A? Yeah, they somehow got this delusion like he gonna just go back to the Future and turn into a time machine. And he is putting up numbers, but they don't, as Ted said to you last night, they don't count. They don't mean nothing. They're empty calories. They ain't winning nothing. He almost averaged 30 plus. He almost had the scoring title 3 years ago when last year Frank Vogel. And what did he do for him? Nothing. Except Trae Young as a kid. That's a different ballgame. Trae still just fresh. And Atlanta don't really try to win no way. They just a cute team anyway. No Diddy. But they play cute basketball. No Diddy. They don't really have any, they the stat pad team. KD's situation is different than LeBron's because he's not really stat padding. He just doesn't have another gear. He doesn't have a mean gear. Nobody sane would want him. And Popovich would never go for a Minnie Mouse that don't play no defense, that's half-hearted in his play. Yeah, because I got me thinking, is this turning into what is this turning into? Because I've never seen this go on and on and on and on. Somebody on one of these sites said that Kendrick's got an album coming. I said, it's got to be something going with this. Because it doesn't quite add up why they still beef, why they so cozy on. Because they've been, and again, these guys are veteran acts too. It's not like some kids rapping, they say 5 years, 3 albums. There's some more going on with this. So, but it's like, what is it? What's the end result? They ain't gonna be no fist flying. No, Pop would never mess with no Trae Young. Are you kidding me? Then I know he was old and senile, and no way he messed with him. I'd have to look around the league to see who Pop would mess with. It wouldn't be that dude. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Because you can't be shooting on 30-foot shots and backboards and hoping for them to get it. It's too frustrating. But Atlanta will tolerate that because they needed to sell tickets. Trey will be good for him for a few years. That's what it's up. He got him up out of there, though. Steven Jackson blew a straight gig there. He had it. And that's why it cost him probably another ring or two. He ain't gonna go there. He'd work where? Harold would work where? Where would he work? Where would Hero work? Now, if Hero was to go anywhere, he could look good in Phoenix with Bradley Beal. He looked good in Sacramento. A running gun team, yes. But a team that's not going to win nothing. But for fun, yes. He ain't going nowhere they got a chance to win. Mm-mm. And the personalities have to play good a certain way. Pop wouldn't use no hero. Hero gets hurt too much and he's too inconsistent with his thing. So you have to have a certain personality fit with the Spurs. That's true. You can't be no loosey goosey like Trey Young. That wouldn't work. There's a lot of them that are like that. There's a lot of them like that. Of those three, who's the most overrated? It'd be Melo. Because AI and Russ won MVPs. Did you ever look at Melo as the best player in the league? Did he ever do anything special? He was a better pure scorer and shooter than AI and Russ. I'll give you that. But compared to those two guys, he's the overrated one. And I'm going to go on the record and say this. I had a lot of respect for Allen Iverson, but when I ask me who's my favorite 6'1" and under guard, I'm taking Isaiah Thomas today and twice next Sunday, and not even close. Because I do think he was a bit, he kind of overrated to me. Great talent scoring, but I don't think everything always, Russ, I like Russ to an extent, but that's kind of an oddball question because Marion actually had more of a career, so I gotta say Joe Johnson. Sean Marion had more of a career. He could play some defense. He had that ugly old man shot, but I had to give him more of that though. Marion was more. Melo, like, listen, if Melo had a gone ahead and been that role playing cherry picker, he would have probably had one of the greatest careers ever. Had he gone to a Chicago or a team that needed a guy to just score, get buckets. Oh yeah. Yeah, well. Billups got that because Billups got that. Billups, what happened to Billups is what happened to LeBron in Miami. He learned the formula from Larry Brown in Detroit. He wasn't like that before. So he learned how to win. Melo should be salty with himself. They lost that 4-2 to the Lakers, and he got better as time went on, but he wasn't no Hall of Famer. If we go by his career before Detroit, he was headed towards third tier view. He it wouldn't have worked in Detroit because Larry Brown didn't like rookies and his style. I'm gonna tell you, Dwayne Wade would have worked better in Detroit than Melo. Melo went to the best coach, best situation in Denver. Best. He got to run a team. He got to play with a coach who utilized his offensive weaponry. That was the best situation. He's right. He was too much of a me ball perimeter. The way they played ball in Detroit, he needed to score 25 points. They didn't play ball like that. Those guys played a unified ball. They messed themselves up when they got actually Antonio McDyess because it kind of worked, but it kind of didn't. It kind of threw them off a tip of what they were style wise. They were more hard nosed, grinded out, physical, and whoever's hot, they played a certain way of basketball. Melo was more on a certain style that would not have complemented what they were about. So I definitely see that. But I think Dwayne Wade would have fit great with Detroit. His style would have complemented him. It's a style thing. It really is. But Melo had the best coach you could have had with George Karl. He fit great in Denver. He is. He was, but I'm just saying. No, no, because Gary rode for him. I lived in the area. Gary rode for George Carl. You weren't around to really. He rode for him to see that he rode for him. Kemp had issue, but Kemp's game deteriorated. Kemp was his own undoing, and he cried about the ownership and all that. But no, Gary rode for George Carl. He rode for him. Well, Manu run the first two games. If that series had been a quick 5 game series or 6, he's the MVP. I remember that finals. I watched it because nobody wanted to watch it. Only um, two best teams in 2000, Spurs and Lakers. The Pistons should have beat both. The other had a chance in Game 7. They had a chance. Ori came up big. The Pistons were well. It was again. They could play half court basketball. That's a lost art today. Nobody now knows what you mean by half court postseason basketball. Teams don't slow down like they did back then. That's when you. I don't know about the fouls being questionable. I don't know about all that. They were two evenly matched teams. And Detroit, unlike against the Lakers, San Antonio played all their players. Everybody got in on it. Parker, Ginobili, and they were younger too. Wasn't a case where Fisher was looking busted and old, and Foster busted and old, and Gary Payton was definitely old. See, and didn't fit the Lakers triangle. And Kobe was ball hogging. Shaq was still scoring, but you didn't had no bench, so you can't even compare the situations. The Spurs were fully loaded, but it still went 7 because the Pistons were a quality team that matched. They were like a match to San Antonio. Except they didn't have the offensive firepower. That's the one thing that hurt them, not having that dude, because it was an even Steven match. Yeah, I did that too. I talked about that enough. They did as good as you could, but again, it was an evenly matched series. They did it. It was evenly matched series. It wasn't like it wasn't an evenly matched series. It's just that there were we cool. He he uh he always comments on my videos and he's been supportive of me and I got much respect for Ted. We differ on some things, but we cool in the game. We're just like any other two people. We just get along real good. It's just a natural vibe. I got much respect for Ted. Ted be on a lot of the same forums I'm on, and that's how it's always been cool in the game. Sometimes you just vibe with people. Cool people with me. Um, you know what? I don't know if they were too cocky, but I know one thing. I remember Tim Duncan when they beat Oklahoma, he said, "We're getting that ring." He said, "We're gonna win." I never heard Tim Duncan be so sure assured as he was after they finished. And I was like, "Uh-oh." Now I got a true story about that series. My homeboy knows me real good back where I live. And he cracked up. I said, I'll be glad when them old men go away. I was talking about the Spurs because I was like, oh God, I gotta go through them guys. I knew the way they lost, they were coming back because they should have beaten the Heat in 2013. And why Popovich pulled Duncan, I'll never know. But they came back with a vengeance next year. And that's what teams used to do. I don't know if they were too cocky because I just think that they thought they had a chance. But the problem is that Kawhi came up. Kawhi was balling back then, and Patty Mills was a problem. I ain't got no bad LeBron takes. Shoot, listen, I'm a Heat fan, so before Ted got him with the Lakers, I got much stories, and you've been watching him for his time. We just don't slurp him. We're not the media. I don't do that here. And listen, he's one of the greatest players ever. He's also overrated too. And I call him out on his BS. I call him out for this Denver series these last 2 years because if you're Mr. Facilitator, Mr. All Around player, I don't care if he's 58. They should have won the series this year. Last year they got beat because Denver was scoring. What's the excuse this year? The Nuggets didn't even show up for half. You mean to tell me Murray and Jokic can wait till like it's an NBA All-Star game and turn it on the last 5 minutes and you can't finish them off? You win 45 minutes of the game, but them last 3 minutes you just drop in the tank. And you know what they're gonna do. Well, you in the kitchen getting burnt. The thing is this. You should have won that series this year. You got no one to blame but Mr. LeBron. And last year was one thing. Even though they shouldn't have probably been swept, but you lost 8 out of 9. Let that sink in. And it's always the same style of play that beat you. But the irony is you're getting beat at what you do. You're a facilitator. So make it make sense to me, Jay Will. Because if you Mr. I pass the ball, I involve everybody, that's gonna save you. Yeah, okay. You know. You agree now what? Do you agree with them drafting Bronny or do you cringe at it? That's what I should ask. I cringe at that. The kid ain't ready. And to slurp him up to doing this, I don't think LeBron was off base. Thank you. I don't think LeBron was off base when he says I don't care what he does, he's a young man, because he knows he wasn't ready. Well, the one thing I'm going to give LeBron, and this I'm not ever going to take it away. When he came to the pros, he was a man. No one is solidified and no one is above reproach, because if you're Hogan, if you're impeding progress, you're going to get it. He's messing up Anthony Davis. That's your fandom. If I was a Laker fan, of course I'd be mad at him. I'm not even a Laker fan and I'm mad at him for messing up Anthony Davis. No. He can play a little bit, but he ain't pro ready. He's not Lonzo Ball was when all that, and Ball got criticized when the Lakers drafted him, but Ball looks a lot better. Well, that's your GOAT, not my GOAT. I like to mind people coming in. You're free to like who you like, but don't put that on me. But you see, I got people who'll come at me about calling LeBron the GOAT like they'll call Beyonce the GOAT. They did him because he was loyal. They did him because they also knew they weren't going to win. Sometimes a team sucks up for a franchise player. Something LeBron will never know. Something LeBron will never know. If we take away the bubble ring, how great have you been with LeBron? Genius? Make that make sense. Oh, yeah, that in-season tournament, that he wasn't no almost too black, nothing. His case made him darker. He was not too black. How you going to tell me about a guy being almost too black when he was speaking fluent French, Italian, different languages, and he had crossover appeal? Don't get Kobe mixed up with Gerald Ryder, okay? You want to talk about too black? He ain't Latrell Sprewell, okay? He sure ain't my dude Raul. So let's not say that. Educated dude. He wasn't no threat to the system. Except when he got out of retirement, when he started talking about getting his own shoes, then you may have a point post-career. You might have something there. He got off that Nike plantation. Yeah, you might have something there. You didn't debunk nothing because without that bubble ring, what have you done? What have you done? And it took you 5 months off to get to that because of COVID. What have you debunked? You didn't debunk nothing. And you made that more of a series against Miami. The Denver one I can understand, but you went 6 games against a overachieving, undersized Heat team, and Jimmy Butler played out of his mind. What did you do? What have you done since then? It's okay. Fanboys always would be in denial. I can point facts. 2021, lost first round to Phoenix. Didn't make the playoffs the next year, 33-49. Last year, West Conference Finals, swept. This year, first round, gentleman's sweep. What have you done? Missed the playoffs in 2019. Was it 2018? One of them. I'm going to watch that. He's right. He should. What is he going to come back for except for stat padding? These teams are young in the West. You got to get scores. You got to get bench players. You're not winning. If you say you play to win, who are you telling that to? Last year, you went to Western Conference Finals, over exceeded your expectations. Yeah, because it was when Charles Barkley said to Michael Jordan got back, he was telling the truth. LeBron at this stage, there's nothing else he can do unless he can get on a hop on a team that can win. And I don't know if teams that's going to take him at this stage. You want to bring this one up. They still got to the finals and they did mess up stuff, but they ended up eventually patching things up as time went on. But the thing about it is this. D'Angelo Russell snitched too. Swaggy P. Lakers brought him back. Remember? That was a different situation. That's why I was more Team Shaq than Kobe, but I'm never going to take anything from Kobe's greatness as a player. And that was bad blood. I know. Lived through that time. But what's that got to do with LeBron James? What's that got to do with it? What does it have to do with it? The only thing what he mentioned about Shaq didn't technically Shaq paid his women off. That was known. But that's nothing new because David Stern makes sure everything goes away. And I'm sure Adam Silver does too. It's the little tidbits that you may not know about one LeBron Ramon James. And last time I checked, Kobe Bryant wasn't getting called La Dopey. Did anyone say La Dopey? Did I miss that? I didn't need to see no docuseries because what happened was Gary Payton got exposed in the finals. Didn't fit for Phil's triangle and got old. Karl Malone was old. He did pretty good, but he was hurt in the year. They were on a pace to win about near 70 games before Karl Malone got hurt early in the season. They were a special looking. They looked good in the regular season. But Rasheed Wallace was the pendulum vibe. When he got traded to Detroit, that was it. And that block by Tayshaun Prince against Indiana, the Pacers look like the Pistons like a special team. It's nothing to really romanticize or look at. Phil was tired of Kobe. Shaq wanted out. That's what happened. They were also an older team. They had been battle tested. They went to 4 finals in 5 years. So the wear and tear kept up. Shaq was still the best player on the team, but it just took its toll. Yes, he is. He did play. He had his shirt ripped in one of the games. He did play. It was in Detroit when he got his shirt ripped. I remember. Do your research because I remember this like yesterday. He played one of the games. His jersey was ripped in one of them. That was in Detroit. It didn't make any difference because he fit pretty good in a triangle, but nobody wants to watch them on NBC. It wouldn't be the same. And I sure as heck want them to team up with Bob Costas. That would be Hughley. Ernie does a great job. It wouldn't be the same because the special makes them special because it's on late night. And you don't need no more NBC games on. I miss it for the music and stuff, but it's not the same. It's not the same NBA. So much that happened with the NBA since they left NBC. It's not even funny. Well, it's a whole different animal with Costas than Ernie, but he's good at what he do. old school journalist, but I don't like him though. Yeah. I got 8 more minutes before I bounce. So I'll give you 8 more minutes. The night damn really gone by. I had a great conversation too. Still got 8 more minutes. I don't know about that. That's a drum roll. I don't know about that. Well, one thing about it is I don't have no slurping. So if I do, it depends on what I'm talking about. I appreciate that compliment, but I don't, I ain't battling nobody. I'm only putting out what I put out and what I do. I don't, I like to go with the continent. If I do get something that y'all consider controversial, different, it's because I believe in it. But I'm not gonna be making the same videos over and over again either. I don't sit around talking about LeBron and the Lakers and that mess or the Dallas Cowboys or the Yankees or stuff like that. I pick my spots with that. Some videos I get that, some don't. It depends. Skip's problem is that he became third wheel on his own show, and he's got cats that don't help his cause. He ain't gonna have to worry about Russell for long. I watch all those things, and I watch and listen. Some things, there's certain topics that I get inspired by. Some I do, some I don't. It depends on what I'm looking for. I tend to like stuff that I can get a beat on. Depends on what it is. It's got to be something that has validity, and then I like to tie it into another story. Well, Justin Fields is in a situation that he will get plenty of chances to quarterback. What y'all don't agree about Shaq and Kobe? Do tell. I want to hear this. What is it about you and Shaq and Kobe? I want to hear this. Please, you don't run your motor, so you got to let me know this one. Oh, well, there is an agenda there, and that's a problem I have with so-called cats that they do revisionist history. And I let it be known loud and clear. I'm a Shaq dude. Now Shaq is petty, and there's some things I don't agree with Shaq on, and I'm not really that fond of him post career because sometimes I think he'd be shuffling on some things. But he was better than Kobe when they were together, and there's no mistakes about it. They may not win with all without each other, but Shaq made life a lot easier for Kobe to get established, and Shaq was that dude because there hasn't been another big man that really dominated like Shaq since. He was the best player because that cat must didn't look at the 2000 season. They won 67 games. He had to go against Duncan and Robinson in the box. People act like they didn't. Ask Popovich how great Shaq was in his prime peak. Or that one picture against the Nets when four guys are lunging at him, he dunks on all of them. It was important to him, but I'm gonna be real with you, and I say the stuff that ain't fashionable. No due respect to Kobe. Most body could have won with Shaq, especially when he was in his peak in his prime, because he was that dominant. He was that dominant. And that's why I got Shaq over Duncan, because I said Shaq, he wasn't better. He had some moments in the postseason and regular season when he came up big. He wasn't better. He got near him after the second one. And you can say top 5, 6. But when Shaq was Shaq, they were going through Shaq. Shaq was on another level. And he never showed me he was a better player when they played together. And if we go post LA, when he went to Miami, Shaq got robbed of MVP that first year. He was better there too. Kobe stunk it up. They didn't even make the playoffs. Kobe was a special talent. I'm not saying he wasn't. But Wilt, but with more force, but not the score, not the prowess of just killing, It's hard to say, because if you go to win 4 rings and 6 finals or trips in a 10-year window, how can I argue against that? Y'all act like the man didn't three-peat. You act like the man didn't dominate. It hurt him. Can't really say much with the weight because he won. When he was fit in Orlando, they went to 1 finals. He got bulkier in LA, and he got his shape back in Miami. Well, that's part of his run. The 10 years, 6 finals, 4 chips. What else do you want? That's a Hall of Fame career. That's a great career. I mean, from 92 to 06, 6 finals, that's half your career in the finals in June. And he lost some conference championships, a couple with the Lakers, and he lost with Orlando. So think about how much he was knocking on the door. I mean, that's the reality. Believe me, I think Patrick Ewing, Karl Malone, Charles Barkley would love to have some of what he had. He played out his mind that year. And that was arguably one of the greatest years in NBA history. And 1 vote from being unanimous. And if you want my honest opinion, only him. Chuck said stuff out of stat jealousy and being comical. But if he was honest about Shaquille O'Neal, he know that Shaq was a rare specimen of a freak. Elijah was incredible in 94. He was called soft, but he was a great talent. Made no mistake about it. He doesn't get his due. Had a sneaky first step, and he could ball. He could score. And his defense is a block shot artist. I mean, he was a great talent. Very athletic. He was everything that Dwight Howard didn't be. Y'all remember? I remember when Shaq pulled that rim down. Dave Robinson was a great talent. The problem is they didn't have the right pieces. Rodman came, Duncan was a better fit. And once they built a team around him, of course, that's why his career by that time with Parker Ginobili jailed, and he did get a couple, but great talent, great talent. Yeah. It's just that he kind of got this kind of docile kind of approach because people kind of don't, because there were guys who were just dominant. Like Elijah was something and Shaq was something. You can tell because Wembley's getting his footing. And once he gets his footing, if Jokic runs the table this year, then it's Jokic. But right now it's Moses. But it's close because Jokic's historical impact will surpass that. I think another league MVP will surpass it. So once this year is through, but he has to win another ring. He wins another ring, there's no question about it. But right now, Moses by a hair. It's close though. Because Jokic can do more. I could say him already, but I'm talking about once we get another league MVP, I could say it. It's close. It's close because Moses, what he did with taking teams on his back. And not only did he leading Houston to the finals, but then going to Philly and doing what he did. That's the reason why I give Moses it's close. Because Moses was something else. Oh yeah, well, ABA era, like when they lost to Walton and them, when they lost to the Lakers, oh yeah, they'd have had Moses after 79. They might win 2 rings off the Lakers. Yep. Virginia Squires. And he was a beast. Athletic, could move. I still remember when he came to the Rockets and he said, I can get 4 of my guys from St. Petersburg against Larry Bird and the Celtics. That's what he said. I remember that. He talked trash too. Because he had Calvin Murphy, Robert Reed, who just passed, Mike Dunleavy Sr., Allen Level. And he was a dominant rebounder. Remember, he won those 3 league MVPs. That's the only thing that I got. That's why I got him over Jokic now. And he was a high scorer. What about Brent Jones? That's kind of an awkward. He was a good tight end. Well, them people need to put the crack pipe down. I've been hearing enough about this Andre Drummond. I said, you mean more like Drummond from Different Strokes? What you talking about, Mr. Wood? Come on now. Andrew Drummond been rocking jerseys. Remember when the Lakers got him and he was supposed to be Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and all that crap they said? How'd that turn out? Well, I'll explain that. No, Hakeem well, Dream that one year with the thing about with Hakeem, he had some great years, but it was really that one year where he really stood out. Kobe and Shaq were split. That's what that was about. So you can't really compare that. Yeah, well, I don't know about an '06. I think an '06 you could have made a case for Dirk. Could have made a case for Kobe or Dirk. But Nash was with a flashy team and they did win. Takes your pick. I think Dwayne Wade got robbed out of a year, 2009, maybe '06. Who knows? It's hard to say. Shaq got robbed in '05. It's hard to say. Yeah, well, Pippen's defense definitely, you wonder about that. But again, there's most of the guys who win Defensive Player of the Year, they don't really emerge as great players per se, so it don't really equate. So it's strange. So Bobby Jones was a very good player. Yes, he was. But I already explained with the Shaq and Kobe thing. They cancel each other out, even though it should now. Shaq should have had about 5 or 6 final league MVPs. Kobe should have had about 3 or 4. Shaq would have had about 2 more though. He was two should have had 2 more than Kobe for league MVPs. Said 5 to 3. He didn't take votes away. They just didn't give it to Shaq. He didn't take no votes away. He wasn't better than Shaq that year. I remember that year very well because the Philly got the best coach of the year, MVP, best cheerleaders, best sandwiches, best defensive player of the year in Dikembe, best pom poms, best. They had all that and got 1 win out the finals. Shaq got robbed and he took it out on Dikembe in the finals. Kobe didn't take no votes away because he wasn't better than Shaq at that time. Yeah, Six Man McKee, Dikembe got. I told you they Philly got everything that year. Pat Croce was getting owner of the year. They made up all kinds of stupid stuff, like they do now with these stupid awards. They just be making up stuff now. Um, he's not really sweating it though, and I don't think they would have done one thing or another for um his career. Yeah, and who's better all time? Just like Dwight Howard, who's better all time? I mean, no one really sits around talking about that. It's like Dwight Howard. Does it really make a difference? I mean, so you gotta remember something. A lot of those awards are subjective anyway, so you know, but I'm not gonna really get into all that though. I just can go by what I remember, what I saw, and you can make cases about who should have gotten what and what. We'll remember is who won at the end of the day. And it's a lot of politics involved, so you know. I know like right now they worried about Giannis and Jokic getting no MVPs because of LeBron. And they don't want that. That's one of the things they were cringing about. See, they got agendas involved, so but I know Anthony Davis was crying about I didn't get defensive player of the year, the league don't like me. And I'm like, well, how did it turn out? What did Jokic do to you? Just manhandle you. What did Jamal Murray do? So no. Unless he strips him. If he forces him, yeah, he could slow him down. Boston showed you how to do that because Tatum and Brown picked his pocket. It depends on what rules we're going by. If we're going by 90s rules, he gets in his face, he gets up on him. And he can slow him down. Depends if KD can hit that fade. Depends. Depends on what rules we're going by. But remember, KD does get any shot he wants. He just doesn't always take advantage of it. But I'll be honest with you, Dirk would have been probably more of a problem for Pippen than KD. Because Dirk hits that fade on you and he gets at you. Because you heard what Charles Barkley said when they played against him as a high school kid. And Dirk could freak. KD got more arsenal, but Dirk could freak more. Because Dirk would put them points on your butt. Depends on what the system is that Pippen had to go against KD with. He's got like Steph and them coming at him. And it depends on the system and different what era we're going by. So anyway, I'm gonna call tonight. I see if it's that body kind of slowed down. I ain't seen Ted in a minute. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and call tonight. It's been good conversation, great debates as usual. Uh God willing, do it again in 24 hours. Appreciate everybody that came through. Trolls came through. Let's see what you're saying right here. What's it say? What do you mean by Dirk, Jokic, Magic, Curry can't defend but all-time legends? What you mean? Please explain that. I want to answer that before I go. Oh, passable. Magic did what he had to do. I mean, Magic controlled tempo unlike any other. Jokic is that's what he tries to do with tempo, but Magic really did control tempo. Dirk was okay. Curry has gotten better with defense in some small increments. Jokic does a passable job. He gets rebounds, he gets outlet passes. So you tell me when a guy can sling that ball deep, because it's like Wes Unseld and Kevin Love, what Jokic can do with that pass. Guys don't have to be defenders when they can control tempo. Magic Johnson showed you that. Curry shows you that. Jokic shows you that. Dirk was okay, but Jokic, Magic, and Curry show you that if they can control tempo, it makes no difference about the defense because they're controlling tempo. So that's how you offset it. It's like Peyton Manning on quarterback, how he offsets the defenses because he's calling your plays and playing you at your game. That's a chess match. That's a distinctive strategy. That's how you offset your liabilities as a defensive liability. All right, I'm out. Peace, the best. Stay safe, stay blessed, stay warm. Catch you soon. Peace. Appreciate you.